Okay, so when you hear the Queen of Sheba, what comes to mind? Probably a quick, almost fairy tale visit to King Solomon, right? But what if I told you that's just a tiny piece of a much, much bigger story? A story that's way more powerful. Let's really get into this.
I mean, seriously, what if her real kingdom wasn't where we've all been told it was? And what if her legacy didn't just end with a few clever riddles, but actually kicked off a dynasty that lasted for 3,000 years?
So here's the split. You've got the common legend on one side, a visitor from Arabia in a brief, almost mythical encounter. But then you have the Ethiopian tradition. And in that tradition, she is the powerful, founding mother of their entire nation. This right here, this is the story that often gets left out.
First things first, let's talk about her name. In Ethiopia, the queen at the very heart of this incredible tradition isn't just some nameless Queen of Sheba. Nope, she has a name, Makeda. Now look at this list. This isn't just about being rich. It's about real power. Makeda's kingdom was a massive economic engine. Think about it. She controlled the flow of some of the most valuable resources in the ancient world. She was sitting at the crossroads of Africa, Arabia, and beyond.
Now you have to understand what this really meant back then. Makeda wasn't a queen consort. She wasn't ruling for her son. She was the one in charge. An educated, respected, and probably even feared queen, ruling a huge civilization all on her own.
So how does this incredibly powerful queen end up traveling to Jerusalem? Well, this journey is the next piece of the puzzle. And trust me, it wasn't about what you might think. This was no love story.
Word had reached Makeda's kingdom about this king over in Jerusalem, a guy named Solomon, and the stories were wild. They said his wisdom wasn't just human wisdom, it came directly from God.
But remember who we're talking about. Makeda was a sharp, savvy leader. She wasn't the type to just buy into gossip and rumors. She needed proof. She had to see it for herself.
So, forget any ideas of a romantic trip. This was a high-stakes diplomatic mission. This was one head of state traveling thousands of kilometers with a massive caravan to essentially challenge another. It was an intellectual showdown.
And that brings us to this pivotal moment, the actual meeting. For days, it was a battle of wits. She threw riddle after riddle at him, testing him on justice, on leadership, on everything. And it all leads up to one very, very clever promise.
According to the ancient Ethiopian text, the Kebra Nagast, Solomon was completely blown away by Makeda's intelligence. So, before she went to bed for the night, he makes this very specific, very carefully worded vow to her.
It's such a simple, human thing, right? Solomon's chefs had prepared a spicy meal for her. So in the middle of the night, she wakes up thirsty and she drinks a glass of water that had been left right by her bed.
And boom, Solomon declared that she had taken something, she had broken the oath. And according to this tradition, that one sip of water, it changed the course of history for 2 entire nations. Because the immediate result of that night was the beginning of a brand new royal line. A line that would forever connect the heart of Ethiopia directly to the legendary House of David.
Makeda traveled all the way back home to her kingdom, and there she gave birth to a son. She named him Menelik, and this child was now the heir to not one, but 2 incredibly powerful legacies.
So, when Menelik was a young man, he journeyed to Jerusalem to finally meet his father. Solomon was ecstatic. He begged him, stay and rule Israel with me. But Menelik's answer was clear. He refused. His loyalty, his home, was with his mother in Ethiopia.
Okay, now we're about to get to the most dramatic, the most sacred part of this entire story. Because before Menelik left Jerusalem to go home, something absolutely unbelievable is said to have happened.
And just so we're all on the same page here, we are talking about the Ark of the Covenant. This is arguably the most sacred object in all of Judeo-Christian history. It's believed to literally hold the divine presence of God.
This is the absolute core of the tradition. It holds that Menelik, along with the firstborn sons of Israel's elders, brought the one true Ark of the Covenant out of Solomon's temple and carried it all the way back to his home in Aksum, Ethiopia.
And get this. This isn't just some ancient, dusty story. To this very day, Ethiopia claims that the Ark rests in a small chapel in Aksum, and it's guarded for life by a single chosen monk who is never, ever allowed to leave the grounds.
So what do we do with all this? Is it just an incredible myth? You know, Western history tends to just brush it aside. But Ethiopia's answer is that their story wasn't invented, it was just ignored.
Which leads to some really tough questions. If this story is just pure myth, then how do you explain all of these deep historical roots? How do you explain the unbroken royal line, the ancient Christian faith, the texts themselves? They all seem to point to something much more real.
And that just offers such a powerful way to look at it. It suggests that while maybe the rest of the world was telling a simpler, shorter version, Ethiopia was the one preserving the full story, passing it down generation after generation.
In the end, Makeda's story really forces you to ask, what do we choose to believe as history? Was she just a passing visitor or a nation-founding queen? A legend or a forgotten truth? In Ethiopia, they've had their answer for 3,000 years.